Right. Welcome. And today's Monday, September 18th. Getting a little late start today. It's about 8:36. It's going to be a quick session. Didn't really do much this morning. Pretty much got up, poking around on charts. Not really a hell of a lot going on, other than basically this strike is kind of like consuming most of the news cycles. Everyone's a socialist now, I guess, because they want people to make more money. I don't know what's going on. I try not to pay attention to it because, look, those contract negotiation things, I don't know if anybody's figured. I grew up in a union household, and it's basically liar's poker. And, the reality is it's the union, the organization of the union who ends up making the money in the end of the day. Do the guys at the end of the chain eventually get paid? Sure they do, and they're probably going to be better off in the short term. The company doesn't want to fold. At the end of the day, it's, you basically have two wealthy organizations going against each other, and nobody really wins. When they come walking out, they all act like it's worse than politics because they go behind doors and then they talk and they probably laugh and they probably, go out and have drinks together, but then they get out in front of the camera and then they start, bashing each other. It's kind of a joke. But anyway, needless to say, that's what's going on. Everything's theater. Not really looking at much today. I just did want to point out Friday was a, perfect trade. This was not an R2, but we did point out that this was a band that was going to be a good area for a short, and it turned out, by God, it certainly was. It certainly was. We had two bad ones Friday, and we had one good one. And the one good one ended up making back everything we lost on the first two bad ones and a little bit. So we didn't really walk away with a ton of money, but nonetheless, I was able to buy everybody dinner at McDonald's, which these days for a family of four is about $100. Especially the way my kids eat. But we didn't go to McDonald's because I can't stand a place, but I always use that as a metaphor. So the only thing I'm looking at today is S3, which is 44.48. And that's going to have to be a pretty big move. I don't know if I'm even going to mess around with the S2 here. I mean, it is interesting because we do have a band of buyers down there at about, 44.69, which is probably a more reasonable move. I mean, I'm going to mark it. I don't know if there's a trade there, honestly. I think if we trend in a direction today, we're really not trending in any particular direction. If we end up trending in a direction today, I think we continue to trend in that direction, and we're going to just drift. I don't think we're going to get any real big move. What the hell do I know? But there's no catalyst out there for anything to really influence this, in my opinion. And today is the 18th. Wow, it's 18th. And so that's I'm gonna mark that one, but I'm really gonna be looking for S3 down here, 44.46. I doubt we get there as far as the ES. And then looking at the Russell, I'm going to basically stay away from anything in the Russell right around here. We are in a really, really tight spot. And the reason I still have this marked 1834, I'm going to leave that alone. I almost feel like you need to be at a tight stop here. I think if we break this time, I think we kind of collapse back down to the whole number, 1,800. I don't think there's much holding it here. And that's really the only trade that I wouldn't even consider today. Again, I just don't think we're going to get the movement. I'm going to mark this R2. I would mark this R2, but it's already basically marked from a couple days ago. A lot of these levels just haven't gotten triggered off. This 1898. So I'm not going to even, and you can see we're in such a tight, the difference between an R3 and an S3 is not a hell of a lot, not a big band there. So I'm just going to leave well enough alone. and leave it at that. Going to pop into soybeans real quick. Again, nothing really here. This continues to disappoint, quite honestly. I can't really understand the weakness here. I mean, again, maybe there's something going on that I don't know and not familiar with. Technically, it just doesn't make any sense. Fundamentally, it doesn't make any sense. But hey, whoever said that the market ever made any sense? So there you have it. So, and then we'll pop over to crude oil. Still eyeing that 91.78 here. And, I'm not really going to do anything outside of that. We have a couple levels still here from days past: 89.07, 88.02, and 87.54. So really nothing new. That's why it's going to be a pretty quick session. The Adobe trade worked out really good. We flipped right out of it. It came right in perfectly. We got the volatility collapse. Actually did pretty nicely on it. Made almost $100 per contract, and I did a couple of those contracts. So anybody who did the Adobe trade, I hope you're gone out of it by now, because they pretty much sucked all the volatility out on Friday. I don't know where it is today. We ended up being down $23. So, but nonetheless, it was perfect because it was right in the wheelhouse of where we were actually at. So again, who cares as long as it comes in? That's kind of it on the stock front. Nothing really here to me that's sticking out. We had a pretty strong sell-off in tech on Friday. A lot could be attributed to the witching or the options expiry, whatever it is. Who knows? There are a couple of earnings this week, but I'm not going to get into them today because most of them are either tomorrow or later in the week, so I'm not going to even talk about them today. But, going to definitely probably do something in FedEx. We'll take a look. Good IV rank there. Normally, it's not a very liquid one. As you can see here, it doesn't even get a 5, barely gets a 3-star rating. But nonetheless, I will trade it because it is kind of a bellwether out there. We got Darden restaurants, iffy, give or take. I don't know if I'm really going to do anything with that or not. Maybe. I mean, if the volatility continues to be this high, I might feel obligated to do something because, again, volatility is like non-existent anywhere in this market. So when volatility exists in some underlyings, I'm going to take advantage of it. And then just looking at the list, the Costco, I'm probably definitely going to do something in there. Because why? Because why not? Because it's Costco. And then, later on this month, we have like the likes of Nike. And it's a pretty thin earnings calendar next couple of weeks. But we do have some interesting ones this week. Actually, Costco is next week. But we do have a couple interesting ones here. Like I said, FedEx is probably the one that I'd be watching the most here. AutoZone, I'm not going to mess around with that. That stock is just a F. This AutoZone is actually AutoZone is where Google and Priceline, which is Booking now, and all those Amazon, it's kind of where those stocks were before they did their big splits. In my opinion, and they need to do something with this because who the hell wants to trade a $2,000 stock? I mean, it's just kind of it's just asinine. I don't understand it. I mean, there used to be this mystique, I think, years ago where when the stocks were high, it did have a mystique. Now I think it's just a complete turnoff to people. It's like, nobody wants to trade a stock that's $2,000 a share. It's just, the only people that are trading it is institutions and even because it even makes the options untradeable. So anyway, there's it. That's it. So what? 10 minutes today. And that's pretty much it. So I'm not expecting much. I probably expect to be done trading today by 10, 11 o'clock. Be honest. It looks like it's going to be a real nothing of a day. So And that's it. And so have a good one, and hopefully tomorrow will be a little bit better.